Hi everyone and welcome again to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I'm going to be creating a much requested cake of Mulan. My Mulan cake is part of my Disney Princess Cakes playlist, and you can check out any of the many Disney princesses I've created by clicking the link you see on screen now. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button so you'll see all my creative cakes as I release them. So let's get started. I have here, of course, my template of Mulan, and you can get a copy of this in the description box below. I have here a 10-inch cake, as well as my cake presentation board and a cake slicer. I've also got my fondant roller, an x-acto blade, a sharp knife, my pair of scissors, my offset spatula and a palette knife, a couple of fluffy brushes. I'll also be using some buttercream frosting and some dark chocolate ganache. And I've also got some black fondant, some skin tone fondant, a tiny bit of white, a little bit of red, some turquoise, light blue and yellow fondant. I'll also be using some flour glue, as well as a little round plunge cutter, and it's just basically the same size as Mulan's eye. And I'll be finishing my cake off with a little bit of pink petal dust. So of course the first thing I need to do is divide my cake through the centre and fill it with my buttercream frosting. I'm just going to shave off a little bit of the dome of the top of this cake just to make it a little bit flatter, but I don't need to do it from the very edge, so just the centre will be fine. Now I've got my template placed on top of the cake, and I'm going to start cutting out around the template. It's always important to remember to keep your knife nice and vertical so you end up with nice straight edges. Once I've cut all the way around the template, I can just remove the excess. I'm going to cut my template now into a few different sections. I'm going to cut the top part of her hair off, separate all of her hair from her face, and also separate the neck. Now I can start making some carvings into the cake, and this is going to give the cake some dimension. Starting with the face section of the template, I've got it on top of my cake, and I'm going to insert my knife about 1 centimetre deep into the cake, cutting all the way around Mulan's face. Then I'm going to score this section with my knife, creating some diagonal lines. And then using my palette knife, I'm going to scoop this section out just by gliding the palette knife in from the side and lifting up the pieces of cake that have been scored. This leaves a nice cavity section which would be Mulan's face. Then I'm going to place the hair sections of the template back onto the cake so that I can cut out Mulan's neck section. Then I'm going to make sure that the collar of her blouse is cut a little bit low, and the neck section has to be lower than her face. And finally, I'm just going to trim off the sides of her hair, taking a little bit of this crusty top of the cake off, as well as the very top part of her hair, which is wrapped up the top. I'm going to make sure that that's lower than the main section of her hair. It's now time to cover the entire cake with the chocolate ganache, making sure to really get into all of the edges and crevices that we've created with the carving, trapping in all of the crumbs. Once the entire cake has been covered with the chocolate ganache, I'm going to put it in the fridge to set for a little bit for about 15 minutes. Once the cake comes out of the fridge, it's firm to the touch, and I'm going to start smoothing over the ganache by heating up my spatula in some boiling water, wiping off the excess moisture and gliding it over the ganache. This is a process that you can continue to do until you're perfectly happy that you've achieved a nice smooth finish on the ganache. A little extra time and care here in this step makes all the difference to the finished product. Now comes the fun part, and we can start covering the cake with the fondant. So I'm going to start off with the hair, and I've rolled out some black fondant here, and I'm going to work on the hair in sections. So I'll divide the main piece of Mulan's hair into 2 pieces, And when I cut the template pieces out of fondant, I need to be aware of the parts of the fondant that need to cover the side of the cake. So I need to cut around the template with enough clearance so that I've got enough fondant to cover all parts of the cake. So once I've got my two pieces, I'm going to gently place them onto the cake. You can take your time here, there's no need to rush, and just position the fondant nicely into place, using your fingers to push it down nicely into the crease, smoothing it down the sides and trimming off the excess. I need to do this for the top part of Mulan's hair as well as for the little bit on the side. I've got some skin tone fondant here for Mulan's face, and it's a pretty close match to my template. And with the piece of the template for her face, I've just popped that over my cake, and I can see that the template is a little bit too big now because the layer of ganache and the fondant has made the face section smaller. So I'm just going to trim down my template a little bit until it fits nicely into the cavity. And then I can just cut out my fondant following my template, and I'm going to make sure that I come all the way down so I've got enough fondant to cover the neck and the front of the cake. Then it's just a matter of simply placing it onto the cake, smoothing it into all of the grooves, making sure that the hairline and the face match up nicely, and trimming off the excess. I'm going to follow the same procedure to cover the cake and create Mulan's collar of her blouse with the turquoise fondant. And at this stage I can transfer my cake onto my cake board. Using some red fondant now, I'm going to create the ribbon that ties up Mulan's bun at the top of her hair. I'm just going to make the fondant look like it crisscrosses over each other. And now moving on to her face, I've cut out the eyes and the lips from the template, and I'm going to cut the white sections out of some white fondant. I'm going to use the circle plunger to cut the pupils out from some black fondant and adhere them together. I'm also going to follow the template to cut out Mulan's lips, and then using the template as a guide I'm going to carefully position them onto the cake, and once I'm happy with their positioning I'll stick them down with a little bit of the edible flower glue. Now to bring Mulan to life, I've rolled out some very thin long strands of black fondant, sort of tapered at one end, and I'm going to frame her eyes, create her eyebrows, and I'll drape a few thicker strands to create some hair that's just going to fall gently over her face. I'm also going to use these strands of black fondant for detailing her ears, her neckline, her lips, very delicate pieces for the nose, and a little bit for the eyelids. Now I'm going to just add the finishing touches to Mulan. I'm going to create a beautiful little flower that sits on her comb that she wears in her hair. As well as some earrings. And of course a light dusting of petal dust to give her cheeks a blushed look. And here she is, my finished Mulan cake. I really enjoyed creating this Mulan cake, and I think she came out absolutely beautiful. I think all of the black detailing really brought her to life and took this cake to another level. I hope you did enjoy this tutorial, and make sure if you did, let me know by giving it a like. I love to get your thoughts and your feedback and your comments, so don't forget to either drop me a line in the comment section below or head over and connect with me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram and Twitter. Make sure that if you're not subscribed to my channel that you go ahead and click that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out on tutorials like this one. Be sure to check out some of the other Disney Princess cakes. The link is on screen now for you again. I hope you tune in next time, and as always, thanks for watching.